Reverend Matiko and his family arrived on September 1st, 2017 with no idea how or where to start the church.
So when we came to Malindi, one of the things I knew I had, apart from the premises, apart from money and everything, I had my family, I had God and the Bible. And for me, that was the only good thing I had. God, the God of the Bible, and my family. And so I knew for sure, no turning back. And so we came, we had rented a facility. That's our home, somewhere in Kasorina, a very big facility. You know, a 4-bedroom house, big compound, own compound, big verandas. And so for us, it was basically to start church right from that facility.
Like a week after we landed, that Friday, we started home fellowships. So in our house, I remember we were about 6 or 7 of us. So there was Dr. Paul and Carol, there was Esther Gatibaro, there was Lillian Mwendwa, there was Mona Lisa Nganga, there was Collins Odhiambo, and I can't remember the other people. So we just started a fellowship, and I remember the first material we did was called The Discipline of a Disciple. It was an amazing, amazing study. So
we decided we'd start church right from home. And so because we had enough space, the only thing we needed were seats, but of course we were not many. And so I figured out how we could use that compound, to just start church right from there as we were looking for the facility. So we just started our home Bible fellowship.
The tea was really nice on the Mahamri, first of all. I liked it. The tea on Mahamri, excellent. Used to make the visits to Muhinalen. Muhinalen was at Pasi's house that time, so we used to have the fellowships there. You'd always look forward to Wednesday. Today there's fellowship. You'd always get there. But it was the best place for spiritual growth, where you'd be free, you'd ask questions, you'd be answered, you'd get the views of everyone. And basically, not the common church setting where you come, you pray, you go home. There you're free to ask and you explain for. So the growth there was exponential, I can say, to myself.
It was very interesting. It was the first time I was able to go for home fellowships. Very cozy, very intimate. And there we got to learn much more, get deeper in the word. And I loved it because you are able to ask. In church, you're not able to ask questions when the preaching is done. But now at home fellowships, it was one-on-one with Pastor Sach and Pastor Pauline. You're able to go deeper, and people are able to express themselves. So it was a very good learning experience. And that's when we got to learn about discipleship and got deep into, Romans, like the book of Romans, which is now my favorite. We were able to go deep into it, study it chapter by chapter. So home fellowships are very important, and I'm glad I got to learn about it here.
We started from home. We didn't have the structure, we didn't have a physical church, but we started from, actually he came first and he got a house, he rented a house, and we would oftenly meet in that house.
Those home fellowships were really good, and some of the studies that we did, disciplines of being a disciple, about the Holy Spirit, were concepts that for some of us were really new per se, that yes, you've been born again, but you don't know how to walk as a disciple, you don't know how to walk in certain ways. But being there every other time, sitting and learning, and then getting to meet people also, because coming to Malindi was a new town for me. So getting to meet all the people that we were meeting at that point, and just fellowshipping with people, seeing the love, connecting, the oneness, it was really an amazing time.
My first experience at the home fellowship was really amazing. I learned a lot of stuff Bible-wise. I get to know many people, the Bible characters, and how they appeared in the Bible. And the word was really amazing. We mingled a lot with a lot of people. The family was really small, but the love was very, very wonderful.
Through a few friends, the word about the fellowship went around and a few more people started coming to the Friday fellowship.
My greatest fear was because I didn't want us to come to Malindi to take people from other churches. So we would ask, every time people would come, we'd be like, so which church do you attend? And funny enough, majority of the people that were coming for the Friday fellowship, they did not have a local church that they were attending. They would tell you, it's been 4 months, it's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, I've never been in a church. So we realized that that is why God had brought us here. That there were many people that were believers and they came from Nairobi and they came from Nakuru and other parts of the country, but they had never connected into a church. So I think that is why God wanted us in Malindi. Because personally, I used to tell my husband, I don't want us to be like, we are snatching people from other churches. So, but now, the fellowship grew. In a month's time, we were about 25 people. And after the fellowship, we would celebrate birthdays, we would take tea. It was a family. It was an amazing time. And I really, really enjoyed the home fellowships.
While the Friday fellowship continued to grow, they faced a good problem. Most of the people that were attending the fellowship did not have a church they were a part of, and they kept asking when they would be starting a church that they could attend on Sundays.
When it comes to the weekend, I was invited to different churches to go and preach. And so, because we didn't have a place, we didn't have, a church per se, but we had a fellowship. And so what I normally used to do, I would invite the same team to take me to these churches where I was invited to go and preach. And I would go with them. When visitors are asked to stand, we would stand, and I would say, my name is so-and-so, we are here, I'm a pastor, and we are here to plant a church. That's how we introduce this team. So we did that, I think, for like 3 times. But again, it got to a place where now I started to look around for this facility. And so I remember walking around, walked to different premises. I would ask for halls, hotel rooms, conference rooms. But still I was not able to get any. And if I would get a big hall, nice parking, a place that I felt this was it belonged to a different faith. And of course, some of this faith, there is no way they would allow us to put a church right there. And so I kept looking until one day, as I was just driving along Lamu Road, I saw this facility where we are right now. And I decided to just drive and come and see. And I realized it was a school. So I said, if this is a school, then maybe we can share the facility with them. They can only give us the facility for a weekend where we do church, and weekday they continue doing their own thing. And then so I went to ask Wangoma to help me to just find out the owner of this facility, and that was Nairobi Homes. I thank God for Nairobi Homes. They were able to connect us to the owners. And then now later when we asked the owner about the facility, he never hesitated. He said, well, if you guys want to use it for church purposes, so long as you're paying rent, no problem.
Coincidentally, the owner of the facility was a personal friend of one of our church members back in Nairobi. So he connected us, and Dr. Paul and my husband, Pastor Sach, they drove all the way to Mombasa. They met up with him. He said he doesn't have an issue. And then later when they came back, he requested, now before we draw the contracts and the lease documents, would you allow us to be meeting in your facility outside, because they couldn't allow us to access inside of the whole facility. He said it's okay. So that's how we got that facility. And I remember there's a day the same day we were allowed, we came on a Sunday morning. We did not have a church to go to. So we came and sat under a tree somewhere, and now we were looking at the facility and thinking, where should we have the sanctuary? And it was an exciting time. I remember the ladies were for one place, the men were like in the parking lot, others were on the rooftop. So everybody had the idea, but we came into a consensus and decided where now the sanctuary is, that is where we should. And I can attest to this, is that it's the ladies, it's the women that decided where the church should be. Yeah, I think you should be listening to women.
October 1st, that was the first day we walked into this facility now with a group of likes Kinamona, Paul, Caro, their kids. I think Wangoma was there, Esther was there, Mona Lisa was there. So we just sat, under, there's a tree that is outside here. So we just sat under that tree. And so we were figuring out where exactly are we going to erect this tabernacle. And so that was the case now, you know, so we didn't know where. So we have a very nice roof. So you were thinking, should we put it up there or in front or back? So I wasn't sure exactly where. And so we kept looking around until the ladies that we were with agreed that we need to put it right there. And remember, we are discussing this thing under this tree, because now I believe that was our first service ever, because now we are thinking of where to erect. And so the moment we identified the place, you know, and we went with now the side where we are right now, then now it was now just executing everything that we had already planned for. And that's now how we began with this facility.
It was on 1st October, that was in 2017. And actually it is my son's birthday, our second born son's birthday, so I'll never forget. So we had, I remember there were 30 seats, we had 30 plus 6 seats. And in the church facility, there are two, because it used to be a residential, so there's like a parking area between the two houses. So we just set up there, and we had like a small pulpit, and we didn't have a worship team. We had the instrument, but we didn't have anybody to play. Remember, we were 17 adults and 8 children, I can't forget. So I led worship a cappella. Carol Daktari was the usher of the day and collected offerings. I think Esther and Lillian taught the Sunday school. I still remember the first 8 children were my kids, 3 of my kids. There was Mona's son, there was Daktari's children, and there was a boy called Lamar. I still remember him. And Teacher Lillian's son. So those were the kids that we had then. That was our first kids church. So it was exciting. My husband preached about sin can take you very, very far than you expected. I know him, he can't remember the first sermon, but that was the first sermon that he ever preached. And it was an exciting time. And we finished, and I remember that Sunday, every church member introduced themselves with their families, and it was an exciting time. And we continued growing from there.
Our first service, wow, that was on 1st of October. So the little group that had started the fellowships, at Kasorina, where our pastor used to live. So we're like, okay. We came, we had our first service at the corridor. So I think they gathered about 30 chairs or so. And we're like, you know what, by faith, we're just going by faith, because now you don't even have a place to set up. So we're like, this is the place we start. This is the premise that we have. And we set up the service. It was pretty interesting. You know, you have all these instruments, but no one to play. So Pastor Pauline is the lead, is the backup, is the instrument. I mean, our hands really worked. You know, make a joyful noise to the Lord using your hands. Yeah, it was a cappella all the way. But there was just something about it, the oneness of fellowship. And because there was such a hunger, I think we just all desired to just have our own, you know, the way you want to have a place that is yours and to belong. So that was it. So we were about 17. We had our service. Of course, I was, and after that, like, because it was such a small group of people, after the service, you get to introduce yourself. So we get to learn who you are, what you're all about, you know. And out of that, people just stand up with their families, stand up with your families. And we had our first Sunday school. I had how many children? 1, Pastor Sachi's 3 children, Doc's 2 children, Mona's 2 children, and Maxwell, Teacher Lillian's kid. We were 8. And that's where we began our Sunday school. Oh, you should see those kids. They were such amazing little ones.